Have you ever, been in a situation where you had a big need, where you were really struggling, and someone just came in and helped you and saved you and just brought in exactly what you needed? We had that situation a couple of years ago, I reckon. Our car had just it failed its MOT. It needed a big piece of work done, like a big bit of work. A lot of money needed to be spent to keep our car going, and we sat down and started trying to figure out, how are we going to pay for this? How are we going to afford this? What can we compromise, and what can we move around? How can we budget? Do we need a loan here? As you do in that kind of financial stressful situation, just trying to figure out, what are we going to do to keep life going? And around the same time, we got a phone call. And the phone call was from a person at our church, and they said that somebody else in the church wanted to give us some money, and they wanted to pay for something. They wanted to show us that they care about us, and they just wondered, is there any kind of, significant expenditure that we have at the minute? And we're blown away by this, and we're humble enough to accept people's generosity, especially in moments when we really need it. And actually, to be perfectly honest, we didn't have much choice. And this person, they told us how much they wanted to give us to pay for something. And it was the amount that we needed to pay this bill. Now, I think that's pretty cool. And some might say it's miraculous. Other people might say, well, it was just very fortuitous timing from a very generous and loving person who wanted to show God's love to us, show that they loved us. But I think the miracle here is in the timing, and the miracle is in the extent of their generosity. It was the perfect amount of generosity to meet our need, and it was the exact timing when it needed to happen. Now, I do believe that there's something miraculous in that. And we see this in the Bible. There's a story in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 17, and a guy called Elisha, he's basically on the run for his life. And God sends him to this place called Zarephath, and he meets a widow there who has a young son. And he says to her, hello, can you give me some bread? And the widow says, well, there's a famine in the land. I'm a widow. I have no income. I have a small amount of oil and flour. I can make just enough food for me and my son to eat one more time. And then that's it. We'll die. So the prophet, he says, Elijah the prophet, he says, we'll make a meal. Make a little meal for me and a meal for yourselves. And I promise you, there will be enough. And miraculously, that's what happens. Her supplies don't run out until the famine lifts and everything is okay again. Now that's slightly more miraculous. It's, expanding the small limited amount of food she has to last for longer and longer. Pretty miraculous. But notice there, it's the same. The miracle there is that God works miraculously to meet the exact need they have. And I love this, and I think there are two ways that I want to challenge you today to respond. Firstly, when someone offers you generosity, be humble enough to accept it. And when you have a need, do ask God. Do talk to God about it. We were praying about how this need will be met, and we were almost, as we were praying, not really expecting God to do anything. Maybe I didn't have the faith for it. Who knows? But he did. So pray. Always ask God first. And secondly, always be on the lookout for moments where you can be generous without being asked, where you can give into a situation without even knowing that there's need. I believe that sometimes God's Spirit, he prompts us, he gives us a nudge. And when he does, do you know what? Listen to that nudge. We've been on the other side of it where, maybe we've been able to be generous to someone and then they've come to us and said, that was just what I needed. Because sometimes we want to show the love of God, and it turns out that we get to be involved in a miracle. Not something, flashy and, God's voice booming from the side, but a miracle where the timing and the amount just happen to be perfect. I pray that you can do miraculous acts of generosity and show God's love in the world this week. God bless you. The Lord be with you, and I'll see you soon.